Hello, everybody. Welcome to the chapter on consideration. This is actually chapter 10. So you notice that we're breaking down the elements of a contract, offer, acceptance, genuine agreement. All right, now we're skipping. Genuine agreement was chapter 8. We're skipping 9, which is capacity. We'll get to that later. And we're going right to chapter 10, which is consideration. And the reason why we're doing that is because there's a lot in this chapter, and I think it's really relevant in your lifetime, and it's really great information to know. Um, as you go through life and get older, and you're entering into more and more contracts, a lot of problems with contracts come with the consideration aspect of contract law. So that's why we're doing chapter 10. And it's going to be probably a series of 3 videos like before that go along with the worksheet that I have posted along with it. So I hope you're following along, and I hope you're enjoying the videos, and let me know. So let's talk about consideration. What consideration is not, it does not mean that people have to be nice and considerate to each other when entering into a contract. Of course, it is nice when people are nice to each other, but that's not what it means. It doesn't mean to be considerate. What it does mean is that, and in fact, I can go into the Dunkin' Donuts and get a coffee and, totally ignore the person that's a contract, right? I'm getting a coffee, they're getting my money, and I can totally ignore the person at the window, or they could be a total jerk to me. It doesn't matter. It's still a contract. It has nothing to do with being considerate with one another. So don't put that on the test, right? What consideration is the exchange of benefits and detriments by each party in the contract, right? Things of value have to be exchanged for there to be a valid contract. And those things of value are called consideration, right? And we'll take a little look at what that means here. As you notice my artwork in a minute. A benefit, something that a party was not previously entitled to have. You're benefiting something as one party to the contract. A detriment is giving up something that you were previously entitled to have. Right? So each party has to gain a benefit and suffer some kind of detriment. And let's see what this is. Here's my great artwork here. My stick figure people. All right, I'll sell you my car for $2,900. The girl says, I'll buy it. So let's go through the benefits and the detriments. The benefit is, as you'll notice, the money. This guy's going to receive the money. The detriment is the car. He's losing that car, right? No longer is going to have that car. The benefit of the person buying it is the car. The detriment of the person buying it is the money. So notice how they kind of flip each other, and that's quite often. There's kind of a mirror image, the benefits and the detriments. So each party in this situation gained a benefit and suffered a detriment, right? They exchanged things of value. That's consideration. All right, here's another situation. I'll pay you $35 to mow my lawn. Okay, I'll do it. And he starts mowing the lawn, right? Well, what's the benefit of the lady here? The benefit is she gets a mowed lawn. The detriment is the $35. Well, what's the benefit to the guy who's doing the job? He gets the $35. And what's his detriment? Time, energy, materials, whatever it costs for him to do it, right? So he's doing something he previously wasn't entitled to do, and now he gets that benefit, right? So that's another example of consideration. If he doesn't mow the lawn, he doesn't get the money because he didn't put in the time, the effort, the energy, right? Here's another situation. Sally, will you go to the prom with me? I'd love to, Timmy. 2 days before the prom. Dun dun dun. Sorry, Sally. I can't go to the prom with you. You jerk, I'll sue you. Well, this brings up an interesting question. Was there consideration here? The answer is coming. You'll find out in days that follow this next couple of videos. You'll find out the answer. I know what you guys think. I think the girls sometimes think one thing and the boys sometimes think another. We'll find out who's right towards the end of the chapter. There are 3 types of detriments. Giving up something is the first type of detriment, or the promise to give up something, as we saw with the lawn mowing scenario, right? Giving up something like your money. I have the right to keep my money. Well, a guy just chopped down my tree yesterday, and so I gave up my money. That was my detriment for the guy who chopped down my tree. Doing something is also a type of detriment, a promise to do something that you didn't have a legal right to do. That guy who chopped down my tree yesterday couldn't come drive down my street and just take down my tree. He didn't have the legal right to do that, right? But promising to do that is a detriment. He put in the time, the money, the effort, his materials or whatever, and he chopped down my tree and I paid him. So giving up something is a detriment, like money, right? Or doing something is also a detriment, like mowing somebody's lawn or cleaning their car or whatever the case may be, is a detriment as well. So 2 types, giving up something or doing something or promising to do something. And the last one is a little more less clear, and that's called forbearance, right? The definition is not doing something that you have a legal right to do. And forbearance is kind of prevalent in the law right now with the coronavirus, right? There's something called the federal government has any federal loan like a mortgage, right? The government is allowing people, allowing those mortgage companies to forbear the loans, meaning give people a break, right? These mortgage companies have a legal right to collect the money you owe them. They are giving up that legal right for a period of 180 days, right? Because people aren't working, people can't pay their mortgages, people can't pay their rents and things like that. What these mortgage companies are doing is they're giving a forbearance. They're giving up their legal right to collect that money. And this also happens in student loans sometimes when kids who just graduate college and they're hit with $1,000 bill, monthly $1,000 bill, which, is a very real situation. My daughter's $1,000 student loan payment, right? She didn't have a job yet. Well, the lender gave her a forbearance, which is a period of time that she didn't have to pay back the money, 180 days or whatever the case, whatever it is. Now you have to be careful with these types of things. Maybe you don't have to repay the money right away, but they're still collecting interest on that full amount that you owe. Right? There's still ways they're going to get their money back one way or another. So either forbearance is a nice thing that they may do for you, but they're still going to collect their money somehow. But this word forbearance might be quite relevant to people right now in this day and age. Right here at the bottom it says, forbearance may take the form of extra time allowed to come up with an overdue payment in return for the borrower's promise to make payments, make regular payments in the future. So that's what a forbearance is. So giving up 3 detriments: giving up something, right, that you had a legal right to keep, like your money; doing something, right, or promising to do something, and forbearance, which is not doing something you have a legal right to do, like collect money that's owed to you, right? So those are the three types of detriments. And this is the last thing we're going to talk about, and we're going to talk about it real quickly here. Dean agrees to sell the Tina a piano worth $100,000 in exchange for Tina's promise to pay $50,000. The contract is supported by sufficient consideration by both parties. Without more evidence of fraud, a court will not inquire into the inadequacy of consideration. So say that so Dean has this piano, and it's worth $100,000. It's this rare antique, but he's hard up for money. So he agrees to sell it to Tina for half the value, $50,000. Right? Well, that's good enough. That's adequate consideration. Courts don't usually look into the adequacy of consideration. If I have this vintage guitar that's worth $1,000 and I need cash and I'm going to sell it for $250 and I'm fine with it and you buy it, then the consideration is adequate, right? There's no inadequacy there. The courts don't look into the inadequacy of consideration, right? That's what it says here. Generally, the courts don't look into the adequacy of consideration or the fairness of the deal, as long as nobody was ripped off on purpose, as long as there was no fraud, right? That we talked about last chapter. The courts won't look into it, right? It's valid. It's valid. So it doesn't need to necessarily be fair, is what this says, right? The courts do not see whether the parties of consideration was the value of consideration was fair to both parties. If you both agree to it, you both agreed to it, right? Here's the situation, though. A fast-talking salesman persuades an elderly lady to sign a contract for service. The service, it was really had a worth of $4,000, but the salesman, fast-talking, sold it to her for $40,000. Well, that's a little bit different, right? This is unconscionable. Somebody was taken advantage of, right? If the situation somebody was taken advantage of, this would be, whoops. A little joke there. All right, this would shock the court, they would say. All right, it's the consideration was unconscionable. Somebody took advantage of somebody else, and so that's the only time the court will look into the adequacy of the consideration. That's it for this chapter, or for this section. Have a great day, guys. Bye.